Welcome to Kanata Connections. I'm David Watts. I am Kanata, and I, that is we. Villages of life that stretch from sea to sea to sea. A human constellation, as long as the rivers run. Kanata, Kanacha, Canadian. We are Canadian. 4 foundational Kanata traits. We are peoples of Kanata. In many ways, we're like other peoples of the world. Like others, we profess the dignity of the human person. Like others, we live in communities. Like many parts of the globe, we've been colonized by not 1, but 5 empires, 4 European, and our neighbor to the south on Turtle Island. Important today, we share with others a concern for the air, water, land, and biodiversity of our planet as a sustainable home for present and future generations. Besides the things we share with fellow humans, there are characteristics that set us apart. None of these characteristics is unique to Kanata. What makes us unique is the fact that we hold them all. This combination is what makes us what we are. There are 8 of these Kanata traits, 4 foundational and 4 derived ones. Today we'll look at the 4 foundationals. The first foundational trait is our name, an indigenous word for village. French explorers pronounced it Kanada, accenting the last syllable. English speakers put the accent on the first, Canada. Both these pronunciations are more strident than the Algonquin Kanata, with its softer T and balance with the accent in the middle. In the Algonquin, Kanata wasn't about a European-type state with borders. It was about relationships, the type of village it takes to raise a child. Today we also use it in the sense of a global village, community beyond borders. Our name, with its extended and inclusive meaning, is our first major foundational characteristic. The second is that, for us today, Kanata is a constellation. It's not a union of the type for which the U.S. fought a war to stop member states from leaving, turning its name from a plural, the United States are, to the singular, the United States is. Canada today is too diverse for a one-size-fits-all. Quebec would not have joined without its own parliament, the National Assembly. Other members of the constellation followed Quebec's example to use the powers in the Constitution reserved for the provinces to reinforce their own uniqueness and special status. When Alberta and Saskatchewan use sovereignty legislation, it's not about leaving as much as asserting and strengthening provincial sovereignty that already exists. A third trait is that ours is an evolutionary tradition. There's no one date or defining moment that determined who we are or that divides us into traitors and patriots. Revolutionary states are born with a statement of grievance to justify the break with the old order. Evolutionary ones can express gratitude for their past while acknowledging where it can be improved on. Canada was the first modern state to be born without revolution or civil war. Our evolution began before contact, in confederacies like the Five Nations and Siksika and Nahia alliances on the plain. A fourth Kanata trait is a feminine-masculine balance north of the 49th parallel. In settled societies, like the agriculturally based First Nations or fishing-based coastal ones, the women could rule the roost, free from the responsibility of having to pack and move teepees and children to follow the bison. In these matriarchal societies, the women often made and unmade the male chiefs and held them responsible. Even in the male-led indigenous order on the prairies, there was recognition of the importance of the feminine. When Northwest Mounted Police first arrived on the plains saying, "We come in peace in the name of the Great Mother," the First Nations said, Oh, we know all about her. The Mounties were talking of Queen Victoria. The Plains people equated her with fulfillment of the promise of White Buffalo Calf, a feminine figure in their mythology who was prophesied as one who would come to heal them. In the long reigns of Queen Victoria and the late Queen Elizabeth II, a woman was our head of state for 70% of the years, from 1837 till 2021. Their presence in pictures in our courtrooms and on the currency and postage stamps had an effect on the Canadian psyche at a time when almost all elected politicians and public administrators were male, a positive effect on Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples alike. These 4 traits, the Kanata village name and spirit, our being a constellation or federation administratively, an evolutionary tradition with gratitude for much of our past rather than one rooted in violent upheaval and grievance, and a stronger recognition of the feminine than in the public life of most republics, have been foundational traits of and contributors to the Kanata character. In future episodes, we'll look at the 4 derived characteristics and elaborate on the ones we've set out here. For Kanata Connections, I'm David Watts.
Nous sommes Kanata, au long des rivières, les villages lumineux au-delà des frontières, a human constellation as long as the rivers run. Kanata, Kanata, Canadien, we are Canadian.